Imagine walking into your own hotel, a place you built from the ground up, every detail echoing your vision, every hallway humming with memories of struggle and triumph. Now imagine that, on this particular morning, the air feels a little heavier than usual. It's not just the rain outside or the lingering scent of fresh coffee in the lobby. There's something else. A tension that simmers just beneath the surface, the kind that people pretend not to notice. It's early. The city hasn't woken up yet, but Naomi Turner has. She always arrives before sunrise, her heels clicking against polished marble, her mind already racing through meetings, numbers, faces and names. She knows this building like her own skin, where the pipes hum in winter, which tiles creak after a decade of footsteps, which portraits her guests stop to admire. For Naomi, this hotel isn't just property. It's the living proof that a black woman could rise through a world determined to keep her out, and, in the process, open doors for others. The night shift is just ending. She greets the janitor with a quiet nod, shares a joke with the security guard, and offers a word of encouragement to the young receptionist who's studying for her MBA. Naomi sees them all, remembers their stories, and believes, maybe a little naively, that her staff sees her too. But today, something is off. The lobby feels colder. Naomi notices details others might ignore: averted eyes, forced smiles, the sudden hush when she passes the staff lounge. At the coffee bar, two supervisors whisper too loudly, then pretend to laugh when she draws near. The new bellhop, Malik, drops his gaze to the floor, clutching his notepad just a little too tight. She tries to shrug it off. After all, leadership isn't about being liked. It's about respect, vision, and holding your ground, even when it feels like everyone's waiting for you to slip. Naomi heads up to her office, scanning her phone for overnight reports. A guest complaint about a late wake-up call. A glowing review from the Smith family in room 1402. Nothing unusual on paper. Her assistant Grace enters with a forced cheerfulness. "Morning, Ms. Turner. Anything urgent on your desk?" Naomi smiles, studying Grace's eyes for the warmth she's used to. "Just the usual chaos. You okay?" Grace hesitates. "Of course, just Monday stuff, you know." She lingers a moment too long before leaving. Naomi sets her coffee down and looks out over the city skyline. She thinks about all the mornings she's felt like an outsider, even here in her own creation. The jokes, the questions about her qualifications, the guests who assume she's the help. She's learned to brush it off. You have to. That's what her grandmother always said. Don't let them see you break. Still, the feeling grows. She recalls a meeting last week when a department head challenged her decision in front of everyone, something that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Or the anonymous suggestion box notes, growing more bitter by the month, too strict, too cold, too ambitious. She glances at her reflection in the window. The suit is sharp, the hair is immaculate, the smile is tired. A knock at the door. It's Malik, the bellhop, hands shaking slightly as he delivers a small envelope. "For you, ma'am." Naomi thanks him, noticing how quickly he leaves. Inside the envelope, a folded piece of paper, unsigned. "You think this place is yours, but not for long." She breathes in sharply. There have been threats before, but this one feels different, closer, heavier. Naomi wonders if she should call security, but something in her refuses to show fear. She decides to make her usual rounds, walking the corridors, greeting guests, and checking on the kitchens. In the elevator, she passes two senior managers who fall silent as she approaches. Their faces are a mask, but Naomi catches the edge of a smirk. Downstairs, the mood is tense. The pastry chef drops a tray, scattering croissants across the floor. The dishwasher stares at her a beat too long before turning away. Even the regulars in the restaurant seem uneasy, eyes darting between Naomi and the staff. She tries to ground herself in ritual, checking linen quality, testing the coffee, chatting with the night auditor about his family, but the feeling persists. She's being watched, measured, maybe even hunted. As she circles back to her office, Naomi hears laughter echoing down the corridor, her name twisted into a joke, followed by a hush as she appears. She feels the sting, but lifts her chin. You can't win by shrinking. That's another lesson she learned, carved into her heart by years of struggle. At her office door, she pauses. She can't shake the certainty that something's coming, something big, and it's not just another bad review or an unhappy guest. She closes her eyes, draws a steadying breath, and steps inside, determined, as always, to face whatever comes next. The day unravels in slow motion, each moment drawn tighter than the last. By noon, Naomi has already fielded 3 emails questioning her decisions, small things, mundane on the surface, but sharpened with passive aggression. She replies with her usual measured tone, but it's like tossing pebbles into a storm. At lunch, the staff lounge is strangely empty. Naomi stands in the doorway for a moment, listening to the hum of the vending machine, her own breath, the faint sound of a mop somewhere down the hall. She knows she's not imagining it. This orchestrated distance. Her phone buzzes. A meeting request, executive review, immediate attendance required. No sender. The time is now. She hesitates. There was no review scheduled. Still, protocol demands she show up. Naomi smooths her suit, checks her phone for any sign of grace. Her assistant is suddenly unreachable. She heads for the conference room, each step echoing with dread. The hallways are too quiet. She passes Malik again, standing near the stairwell, hands shoved deep in his pockets, eyes trained on the patterned carpet. At the conference room, she finds the door closed. She knocks. Inside, the air is thick, charged. The department heads are all there. Finance, operations, HR, security, seated, stony-faced. Her chair is conspicuously absent. Naomi stands at the head of the table. "Good afternoon. I wasn't aware of this meeting. May I ask what's going on?" The silence is brittle. Then, Mr. Whitaker from operations clears his throat, eyes fixed on a stack of papers. "Ms. Turner, we've convened to address serious concerns regarding your leadership. There have been complaints, repeated complaints, about your management style, decision-making, and overall conduct." She stares, stunned. Complaints? From whom? And why was I not informed of any formal process? HR slides a thick folder across the table. "It's all in here. We believe it's best if you step aside while we conduct an independent review. Effective immediately, you are to leave the premises." For a split second, Naomi thinks it's a joke. She searches their faces for a hint of humanity, for someone to break the charade. But there's only cold resolve. The security guard, a man she's known for years, stands just inside the door, eyes flicking away from hers. She laughs, but it sounds hollow. "You can't be serious. This is my hotel. I built this from nothing, and you're telling me I'm being suspended because of some anonymous complaints?" Finance answers, voice flat. "It's procedure. We need to protect the integrity of the business. You have 9 minutes to gather your things." 9 minutes. Naomi's pulse pounds in her ears. The room tilts, then rights itself. She glances at the faces. Some she trusted, some she always suspected. Betrayal sits in the space between them, heavy as lead. She tries to argue, but her voice is swallowed by their practiced indifference. The security guard steps forward, holding out her coat and purse. She's being erased, piece by piece, as if her presence was a stain to be scrubbed away. Naomi walks out, head high, feeling the eyes of her staff watching from behind glass and half-closed doors. Some look away, some don't bother to hide their smirks. The lobby, her lobby, feels foreign, a stage for someone else's drama. Even the air seems to have turned against her. Outside, the city blurs in the afternoon rain. For a brief, absurd moment, she wonders if she's dreaming, but the cold bite of the wind, the weight of her bag, the humiliation burning her cheeks, all of it is painfully real. Naomi stands beneath the awning, the hotel's golden logo gleaming above her, and realizes they never saw her as the owner, only as a threat. 9 minutes. That's all it took. The rain seeps through Naomi's coat before she even notices the chill. She stands on the curb, clutching her bag like a lifeline, hotel lights blurring behind her as cabs rush by and strangers hurry past. No one pausing, no one seeing. She glances at her reflection in the polished glass of the entrance. The face staring back is dignified but wounded, refusing to show the storm inside. Her mind races, a litany of numbers, payrolls, deeds, every brick and every struggle that built this place. She remembers the late nights, the promises she made to herself, never let them take what you've earned. But now she is exactly where they want her, out in the rain, stripped of authority, rendered small. For a moment her mind spins with humiliation and white-hot rage. Is this how it ends? Is this how all the work, the sacrifices, the constant tightrope of black leadership concludes? Her phone buzzes. A text. Blocked number. Now you know your place. Her chest tightens. Old doubts crawl in, the ones planted years ago in boardrooms and back offices, with every offhand remark and dismissive glance. For 9 minutes, Naomi lets herself feel the full weight of it. Anger, grief, shame, even a flicker of fear. She could disappear. That's what they want. But Naomi Turner is no stranger to cold shoulders and closed doors. 9 minutes is long enough for the pain to calcify into resolve. She recalls a memory, a night decades ago, barely scraping rent, hearing her grandmother's words. They'll try to put you outside. That's when you find another door. She checks her phone again. This time a new message appears from a contact saved under a single letter. M. I heard what they did. I'm here if you need me. It's Malik, the bellhop. He's always kept to himself. But there's something steady in his words. For the first time since being pushed out, Naomi feels a flicker of connection, a thread back into the building. She texts back, quickly and simply, "Thank you. Is anyone with you?" Seconds tick by. Rain batters her umbrella. The door she once walked through with purpose now looks impossibly far. Malik replies, "No, but I have something you need to see. Wait at the coffee shop on 3rd. I'll meet you." 9 minutes are up. Naomi straightens her coat, wipes her face with a trembling hand and forces herself to move. She walks away, not defeated, but gathering her power, step by step. The city's pulse fills her veins. She's lost everything, at least everything they could take, but not herself. The coffee shop on 3rd Street is small and cluttered, the kind of place Naomi used to visit when money was tight and dreams felt distant. She picks a table by the window, watching rain trace lines down the glass, her mind spinning with questions. Every scenario runs through her head. Lawsuits, the board, public scandal, years of careful progress unwinding in a day. Malik arrives 15 minutes later, shoulders hunched beneath his thin jacket, eyes darting left and right before he sits across from her. He slides a napkin across the table, his hands shaking only a little. For a moment neither of them speak. Finally, Naomi breaks the silence. "Why are you here, Malik? You know this could cost you your job." He swallows hard, looking down at his coffee. "Miss Turner, I owe you more than this place ever paid me. You hired me when nobody else would. When my background check came back with things I regret, you gave me a shot. I can't just stand by and watch what they're doing." Naomi blinks back emotion, nodding. "Tell me what you know." Malik glances around, lowers his voice. "They planned this. Weeks ago. There's a group, mostly management. They've been collecting stories, twisting things, making up incidents. I saw them editing documents, signing off on false complaints. They're betting you'll go quietly. They think you'll be too proud or too scared to fight. He hands her a flash drive. I recorded a meeting last week. It's all there. Their voices, the plans, everything. Naomi stares at the small piece of plastic, feeling the weight of years behind Malik's gesture. She remembers every time she vouched for an employee, shielded someone from unfair discipline, fought for fair pay and second chances. Those decisions had made her enemies, but also allies she never saw coming. She asks softly, "Why didn't you come sooner?" Malik's voice is low, almost ashamed. "I was scared. They threatened me, said if I got in the way I'd never work again. But after today, after what I saw, I couldn't stay quiet." A silence falls, thick and intimate. Naomi studies Malik's face. The fear, yes, but also a stubborn kind of hope, the urge to help, no matter the cost. "I won't forget this," Naomi says, her voice steady, "but you have to protect yourself. This is going to get ugly." Malik nods. "Do what you have to do, Ms. Turner. Just don't let them win." He stands, pulls up his hood, and slips into the rain, disappearing among the crowd. Naomi watches him go, heart pounding, not with fear, but with possibility. She plugs the flash drive into her laptop. The screen flickers to life. Voices fill her ears, familiar, trusted, now stripped of all pretense. "She's not one of us. If she pushes back, we'll bury her in paperwork. Nobody will stand with her, not after this." The words sting, but they also clarify. Every doubt, every humiliation, every sidelong glance. Now she has proof. Now she has power. Naomi breathes in deep, feels the shift inside her. The cold of the street is gone, replaced by something fierce and electric. She texts her lawyer, then another ally on the board, attaching the audio file. The rain outside begins to let up. Naomi rises, her spine straight, eyes bright. She's no longer alone, and she's no longer afraid. Naomi's steps are measured as she walks back toward the hotel, the flash drive burning in her pocket like a secret weapon. The air is clearer now, the rain washed away, but inside her a storm builds, resolve sharpening to a point. This time, she isn't walking in as an outsider or a victim. She walks in as the owner, armed with truth. She pauses at the entrance, lifts her chin, and pushes open the door. Heads turn. Conversations freeze. The front desk staff fumble for words, watching her like she's an apparition. Something impossible, walking through walls they built to keep her out. Grace, her assistant, stands in the lobby, pale and wide-eyed. "Ms. Turner?" They said. Naomi silences her with a gentle look. "It's all right, Grace. I'm here for a meeting." She doesn't need to announce herself. News travels fast. The department heads, mid-lunch in the conference room, stare at her in disbelief as she enters without knocking. Her seat is still missing, but Naomi doesn't sit. Instead, she opens. Her laptop, sets it at the head of the table, and without a word, plays the audio from the flash drive. The room is silent at first, then a chorus of their own voices, plotting, mocking, laying out every step of their conspiracy. Faces blanch, hands clench, a few glance at each other in horror, others go rigid, caught in the act. When the recording ends, Naomi looks each one in the eye. She speaks quietly, every word weighted with years of struggle and a lifetime of being underestimated. "You thought you could erase me. You thought this hotel belonged to you, that you could rewrite the rules, but you forgot something important. I built this. I have every right to be here and every right to expect better, not just for me, but for everyone who works under this roof." No one dares interrupt. She can see the ripple of panic, the calculations behind their eyes as they realize just how much trouble they're in. She continues, her voice unwavering. "This isn't about power. It's about what's right. This hotel stands for second chances, for giving people a shot when the world won't. That includes me. That includes all of us. If you think I'm going to step aside quietly, you don't know me at all. She nods to Grace, who, emboldened by her boss's presence, hands each conspirator a letter, termination notices, prepared with her lawyer that very afternoon. You're all dismissed, effective immediately. You have 10 minutes to collect your belongings and leave the premises. Security will escort you out. Any attempt to destroy records, intimidate staff, or retaliate in any way will be met with prosecution. The silence is electric. Mr. Whitaker from operations tries to sputter a protest, but Naomi stops him with a single steady look. I suggest you use your time wisely. One by one, they file out, some trembling with rage, others with shame. A few staff members watch from behind corners, eyes wide, hope flickering across their faces. As the last manager leaves, Naomi stands at the window, watching the city move on, as if nothing monumental had just taken place. But inside, everything is changed. She turns to Grace, who is near tears. Are you all right? Naomi asks, her tone softening. Grace nods, voice shaky. I was scared, Miss Turner. I thought. Naomi places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You did the right thing. We all did. Now let's start over the right way. She knows the battle isn't finished. There will be fallout, questions, maybe more storms ahead, but for the first time all day, Naomi feels the weight start to lift. Justice isn't loud or pretty or even satisfying. Sometimes it's just standing your ground and refusing to be erased. For hours after the mass firing, the hotel is in flux, like the eye of a storm after the wind has passed, debris and silence mingling in equal measure. Word spreads quickly. Management is gone. The conspirators escorted out one by one, their faces tight and unreadable. Some staff watch from behind reception or kitchen doors, murmuring in shock. Others exchange glances that flicker between fear and relief. Naomi knows justice is never clean. It comes with collateral damage. Staff confused, guests unsettled, the ever-present threat of backlash or public scandal. She spends the afternoon in meetings, first with her lawyers, then with the remaining department heads. She explains what happened, shares only what's necessary, and makes it clear the old regime is over. There are questions, so many questions. A veteran housekeeper, arms folded, asks, how do we know things are really going to change? The young front desk clerk, who once confided her own fears about discrimination, stands taller as Naomi addresses everyone in the main lobby. She speaks, not as a figurehead, but as someone who's been through fire. You've all seen what happens when people put their own ambition above honesty and respect. That's not what this hotel stands for. Not anymore. We rebuild from here, together, transparently. If you've ever felt silenced, overlooked, pushed out, I want to hear from you. If you want to stay, I want you to know you're safe. For a long moment, no one moves. Then a slow, uncertain applause breaks out. Naomi feels the fragile trust, the uncertainty, but also something new. Possibility. Later, in her office, the silence feels different. She sifts through files, her legacy threatened but not erased. She finds old letters, staff notes of gratitude, memories of struggle and laughter. Naomi is exhausted, but not defeated. The fallout is swift. Some staff, loyal to the fired managers, hand in their resignations, unable to stomach the new order. Others step up, Malik among them, who volunteers for extra shifts, keeping his head high. Naomi promotes Grace to a senior management position, rewarding her loyalty and courage. She begins to interview new candidates, determined to root out old prejudices and hire on merit, not comfort. There are media calls, journalists smelling blood, wanting the story. Naomi answers only what's fair, refusing to trade dignity for spectacle. But it isn't just the practical aftermath. it's emotional too. One night, long after the guests have settled, Naomi walks the empty halls, hearing echoes of laughter and whispered conspiracies. She sits in the very lobby where she was once escorted out, alone except for Malik, who stands quietly by the doors. He breaks the silence. "You think they'll ever stop trying to tear you down?" Naomi looks at him, eyes tired but burning bright. "Probably not, but every time I'll get back up. That's the real fight, Malik, not just for me, for everyone watching. The old pain lingers, but it's different now. A scar, not an open wound." As the hotel hums with new life, Naomi takes nothing for granted. Justice, she realizes, isn't an end. It's a beginning, messy, incomplete, but real. The weeks after the reckoning pass in a blur of paperwork, tense staff meetings, and the slow, delicate work of rebuilding trust. The story of Naomi Turner's comeback spreads beyond the walls of her hotel, whispered among business circles, shared in hushed tones among workers in the city's cafes, and written about in op-eds that debate not just her victory, but what it means for others like her. Inside the hotel, change is everywhere. Some faces are gone for good, those who orchestrated the coup and those who followed them out of misplaced loyalty. Yet new faces arrive, young people, immigrants, single mothers, veterans, those who, like Naomi, know what it means to fight for a place at the table. Naomi interviews each new hire herself, looking for hunger, integrity, the spark of someone who knows life can turn cold in an instant. She creates open forums, encouraging staff to share ideas and complaints alike, even if it means facing uncomfortable truths. The old hierarchy is gone, replaced by a fragile, democratic kind of order, one that demands constant vigilance. She works longer hours than ever, not out of fear, but out of hope. She starts a scholarship for the children of her staff, sets up mental health resources, and makes sure no one is ever left alone in the cold. Yet the price of justice remains. Naomi often finds herself alone in her office late at night, staring out at the city lights, asking herself if she did the right thing. The whispers don't disappear. She overhears guests still question her authority, and investors still grumble about all that drama. She wonders if the scars from that day will ever really heal. One evening after a long shift, Naomi sits at the bar as Malik wipes down the counter. He slides her a mug of tea, her favorite, just the way she likes it. He breaks the silence. "Place feels different now." Naomi nods, eyes tracing the movement of staff in the lobby, people laughing, the sound of music from the kitchen, a sense of safety that hadn't been there before. "Sometimes I worry it could all fall apart again," she admits quietly, "like I'm holding it all together with string." Malik shrugs, his usual quiet wisdom surfacing. "Maybe, but you're still here, and so are we." A small, real smile forms on Naomi's lips. She watches as Grace steps onto the floor, now confidently leading her own team, and a young housekeeper Naomi hired last week waves shyly from across the room. She thinks of her grandmother's words, echoing like a benediction. "Don't let them see you break, but never be afraid to begin again." The hotel will never be what it was. It will always carry the mark of what happened, wounds and lessons etched into its walls. But Naomi knows now that justice isn't about erasing scars. It's about refusing to let them define you. She finishes her tea, rises, and heads for the elevator. As the doors close, she catches her own reflection, tired, yes, but unbroken. The world outside may never fully understand her fight, but within these walls, a new story is being written, one of dignity, courage, and a quiet, relentless hope. So much of justice isn't about grand gestures or public applause. Sometimes it's about the choices we make when no one is looking. It's about the courage to face what's broken and the humility to build again, knowing that every act of integrity is a seed for someone else's future. If this story moved you, if you've ever stood alone in the rain or been forced to fight for what you built, leave your thoughts below. Share your voice, your truth, your vision for justice, and remember, the story doesn't end here. It begins every day in the small, brave steps we take together.